Playing through Chapter 9 of Celeste, I feel like is the hardest thing that I've ever done. It's definitely a bold statement to make, but I've never really felt a game break me this much
Oh yeah, keep coming.
in years' time. Like, it's been a very long time, and the only game where I felt like I truly broke was in Osu previously. And that game has an infinite skill ceiling, so it's no wonder why that game would be so hard. But at the end of the day, you can learn the mechanics quite quickly. It's just about mastering them that makes the difficulty. But with a game like Celeste, things are different because you're forced to learn so many different mechanics in such a short period of time, and you're expected to master them quite quickly. And through the first 1 through 7 chapters, I never really found any difficulty with that, except for one notable exception being in Chapter 3, where for some reason I couldn't figure out that I was supposed to make a diagonal jump. It's something so simple, so painstakingly obvious whenever you look at it, but up until this point, I never really had that forced upon me to try and think critically about which direction that I was going to make a dash.
Lamau, diagonal dash, I barely know her.
Something seemingly so simple going forward, but it changed everything for me. It did. It made me realize that, wait a minute, if I start using my brain, then these things become a lot easier. And I know it sounds super simple just to analyze it, but actually implementing the things is something that this game has taught me. Trying to implement things more so than really thinking about them so much. Where dwelling on how to do something is oftentimes much slower than just trying to implement new things. And implement new things I had to do a lot. Playing through the first 7 chapters took me around 5 hours, which may be slow to some, but to me that was a big accomplishment. And I felt good after beating the game. It wasn't about the time. It wasn't about the incredible amount of deaths. It was just about completing something that I set out to do. And then I did Chapter 8. Chapter 8 made me realize that, well, this game's a little bit harder than I thought, but it wasn't too bad. Chapter 8, I got through in about an hour's time or so. Like, it really wasn't all too bad. But then, my expectations were set. I thought, Chapter 9, that's probably about the same as the rest. I can't imagine it being that difficult. And damn, I was wrong. I was thoroughly surprised, and it damn well vanquished me. It made sure that it wasn't something easy. It felt absolutely berating, belittling, anything you can think of that just made me feel insignificant in this game. I really felt like all of a sudden I had to take on something that was well beyond what I was capable of. At first, it didn't seem so bad. It seemed like an insane difficulty spike, but I thought maybe, it's not too bad. Maybe as we continue onwards, I'll get used to it. And, well, I kind of did, but not in the way of the game's mechanics. What really happened was I found myself breaking.
Lord have mercy, I'm about to bust.
At breaking points where I had to adopt newfound strategies and really take into consideration what I was doing.
I'm gonna come.
And trying not to overcomplicate things, because previously my mindset was, I'm just gonna knock out this chapter. And I didn't really have to think about the sections of the level, each individual stages of that chapter as something separate. It was kind of like, I just do it.
Nothing to it but to do it.
Nothing to it but to do it.
Yeah, buddy.
Whereas in Chapter 9, every single stage of the level was continuously like that. Where I felt like I had to get down the patterns and I had to master that section in order to go on to the next part. And you have to do that very continuously. And that's something that I had to learn. Something that didn't really make sense to me before I started playing, but something that I felt like I knew, but never implemented. That was the thing that really stood out to me. Once again, implementation over just thought. Basically, to sum up this video, I became a gamer.
What I've felt, what I've known, never shine doing what I've shown. Never be, never see, won't see what might have been. What I've felt, what I've known, never shine doing what I've shown. Never free, never me, so I dub the unforgiven.